Okay, so I'm informed that the clock on this wall is incorrect. So we are now calling the meeting to order, and someone will get that up to speed at some point in time. So, welcome all of you to the El Centro City Council. We're glad you're here. We will proceed at this time with a call to order and roll call by our city clerk.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Present.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Silva.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Present.
And Mayor Villegas Walker.
I'm here. Now at this time, and if you want one of these just super duper agendas, orange for the month of October, they're on the back table, so you can follow along, or you can follow along here. At this time, we're all going to stand for a Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation. And what I would like to do is if I could ask our fire chief to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and our police chief to please lead us in an invocation, okay?
Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together on this important day where our city leaders, our department heads, and all our residents come together to do important work on behalf of our great city. We look to you for guidance, for direction, and help us to understand compassion and empathy as we look out to all the victims in this month of October, that we support all the women and men that have breast cancer and the survivors. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chief and Chief.
Chief Square.
Chief squared. Thank you, Jason. The city council did meet in closed session today from 11:30 a.m. till approximately 1:30 p.m. At this time, we'd like our city clerk to please provide a report out on our closed session.
Madam Mayor, there is no report from closed session. However, I believe that there's been a request to return to closed session at the end of this meeting,
Yes,
briefly.
briefly. Thank you very much. At this time, we'd like to move forward with our agenda, and item number 1 is a proclamation on National 4-H Week. Okay, so all of you 4-Hers wave. We've got all of you in the audience. Great, great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the proclamation. I'm going to ask you to come forward, and if you have some words of wisdom for us, council members will be allowed to have a couple of moments to comment, and then we'll come down for pictures, okay? So, City of El Centro Proclamation, National 4-H Week, October 7 through 13, 2018. Whereas 4-H is the nation's largest youth development organization supporting 6 million young people engaged in hands-on learning activities in the areas of science, citizenship, and healthy living. And whereas 4-H has been helping youth and adults learn and work together for more than 100 years and has more than 60 million alumni across America responding to challenges every day in their communities. And whereas 4-H teaches young people essential skills they need to thrive and succeed throughout their lives, such as identifying sparks. And if you're not familiar with identifying sparks, go home and Google it. It's really a great phrase. Identifying sparks, setting goals, self-reflection, communicating, and responding to the needs of others. And whereas the University of California Cooperative Extension for Imperial County 4-H Youth Development Program staff and volunteers support young people in elementary to high school with programs designed to shape future leaders and help young people reach their full potential as competent and confident leaders who contribute to their communities. Now therefore I, Cheryl Villegas Walker, Mayor of the City of El Centro, State of California, do hereby proclaim October 7 through 13, 2018 as National 4-H Week in the City of El Centro. Congratulations. Hello.
On behalf of the El Centro 4-H Clubs, we'd like to thank the City of El Centro for this proclamation.
Can you give us your name and maybe what school you attend?
My name is Kyla Alvarez. I'm a junior at Southwest High School.
Fantastic. And do we have some other folks who are going to share with us?
Yes, you can ask questions.
Okay. Who's next?
Don't all rush the stage at once.
I can answer questions or I can introduce myself.
Or both.
Let's start with introductions.
My name is Julissa Reyes. I serve as the president for Sealy 4-H, and I'm actually a freshman at IVC, so it's because I'm so young, I can still do it.
Fantastic. So how many schools do we have represented here? Do we have an idea? We have Sealy, Southwest, about how many
McCabe.
schools? McCabe?
It's the clubs aren't tied to a school
Right.
but so like Sealy, even though they're all in Sealy, the club meets in El Centro.
Very
and
good.
I don't think any of the kids are actually live in Sealy.
Ah.
So I think we have McCabe, Southwest High School, Central High School. We have McCabe High School, and then what else? What school do we have? And then we have a couple kids that are outside of El Centro. So we have a Frank Wright and then a Brawley student here as well that participate in clubs that are here locally.
So you have your whole little United Nations of 4-H.
Yeah, that's
clubs.
how it is all over the county. Is a little United
Love it.
Nations everywhere.
Love it. Now, it
So-
looks like we have a lot of young women, young girls involved in the program. Is the attendance or participation about 50-50, or do we have more young ladies
I'd say it's about
participating?
50-50.
50-50? It's just we have all the women right here ready to come up and
I think
speak.
there's one in the back.
One in the back.
There's a couple-
All right,
couple of guys
okay,
over
okay. Come on, we're an equal opportunity group up here.
I think we need to hear like
No.
what you guys are doing, project-wise, as
Perfect.
far as maybe if you guys have animals coming up in the fair and what you guys have.
In the past, I've done the rabbit project, pygmy goat project, photography, sewing, and crochet. This year, I'm doing rabbits and photography, but I'm an all-star for the county.
That'd be cool if you put them all together, crocheting 4 rabbits in photography. All right. Mr. Silva, did you have a comment or question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to congratulate. I'm looking at you guys, and I keep thinking, the dedication that you must have to do this, because there's competing agendas with you guys every day. There's so many different things to do when social media and all the activities that go on. You guys choose to do this for the betterment of yourselves and the betterment of our community. So many times we wonder about our future and where our young people are going. So when I see young people like yourselves, I can only think that our future is bright.
Thank you.
I think that clearly participation in extracurriculars is integral to education. And I know you personally, and I know you are busy. This is like one in your 14 clubs that you're involved in. I don't know how your mom has any time to sleep, and that's her wonderful mother over there. It's just wonderful that you guys are completely involved, and I know it takes a lot of dedication, especially when you have an animal. There's a lot of work that goes into that, and we always enjoy seeing your participation in the fair. So congratulations.
Yeah, any youth group, whether it's scouting or it's 4-H or FFA, I think it's always great to see the youth really get involved with it. And you guys learn so much from it. I was in scouting when I was a kid, and I learned a lot of things, a lot of leadership that I have today. I learned from that. So, things that you might not even think about that you guys are learning right now, trust me, when you guys get older, you'll reflect on these times when you're in 4-H, and you'll realize that you were learning life lessons that are going to help you when you're an adult. So I commend all you guys, and also for taking time out of your day to come here today. Thanks a lot, and congratulations, and good luck at the fair this year for all you guys that have animals. So good luck.
Thank you.
And just real quick, I want to recognize all the parents and thank you for supporting your kids. It's a family affair, and to see you guys here is just amazing. And just want to wish you all the best and keep it up. You guys are our future leaders, so we're glad you're here. And thanks, staff, for making this a proclamation and recognizing the importance of 4-H in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to echo the comments of my colleagues, and that is, if you look at successful students, if you look at success in high school and beyond, in school and beyond, it very much is tied to extracurricular activities. So That's number one. Number two, like Mr. Jackson was saying, as you get a little bit older, you're going to look back and reflect on the activities that you engaged in during high school, and you're going to have a lot of really fond memories of the time spent outside the classroom. So I think that this is just fantastic that you're involved. And to the parents and volunteers of the program, we understand how much dedication and time is required, and the commitment and the investment that you're making in your children, and that's to be commended as well. So this proclamation is really for the total of all of you, for the parents, the volunteers, the advisors, and of course, all of the participants. So job well done. Thank you very much. We'd like to come down and take some pictures, okay?
Thank you. Do we go on that side?
And Brianna, if you go stand right in front of Brianna, right here.
You guys stay safe right there.
There you go, perfect.
So you guys need to get used to this. You're all going to be so famous and successful. Paparazzi following you everywhere. Thank you guys very much.
Before the parents leave, you know, my colleagues talked about the importance of parents and the motivation that you give your children, and great parents also make great children. So I'd like to, perhaps a little bit as a footnote, recognize Karina Alvarez, who's here in the audience, one of the parents, only because I don't think I've shared this with anybody yet. This is a very early announcement, but Karina Alvarez has agreed to be a dancer for Dancing with the Stars gala next year. So she'll be joining a group of alumni dancers for that event that raises funds for high school scholarships. So
Well,
just gotta
okay,
make that
so
announcement.
Alex.
We gotta get Alex next year when he's
Alex
on the
has a
other.
dance. No, you don't.
We all have a handicap.
So I'll just say it was one of the most rewarding and terrifying events I've ever participated in, but that'll be fantastic.
And I did it twice. I don't know what the heck I was thinking.
I don't know what you were thinking either, Jason. Okay, moving on. El Centro Chamber of Commerce monthly report is the next item on the agenda. I do not see Terry Rogers here, so we are going to move on to item number 3 on our agenda. I know she's here, Melissa Lizarraga, regarding the Cancer Research Center of the Desert, CRCD services they provide to the community. Welcome.
Good evening, and my name is Helen Palomino, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and CEO for the Cancer Research Center. Melissa put in the request to
okay.
put the item on, but thank you so
Fantastic.
much. See if I can make this work. There it is. Thank you. And thanks. They got me covered. Excellent. Well, the reason I requested to present today is I really felt the need and desire to share with you as a city the work that the Cancer Resource Center is providing to our community. And it is specific to the information I have for you is what we do and specifically your residents that are receiving the benefits of our services. Who is
Oh, what a
CRCD?
great picture.
We provide to all of our patients in Imperial Valley personalized service to help patients and their families adjust to this cancer diagnosis and at no cost to the patient. Since we've opened our doors in 2006, we've served well over 2,500 people. These are individuals who are diagnosed with cancer in our community. We are the only nonprofit organization offering clinical patient navigation services. All of our team are master's level trained, and so for that caliber and specialty, this is what's occurring in our community. And also, all staff is what's called city certified. This is a specific type of training that we need to test for. It's called the Collaborative Institutional Training Initiative, and that is a requirement with some of our academic partners that we provide or work with in our research. We are also, as we provide services to the people in our community, we also have needed, out of the need of the people we serve who utilize binational use of health care but live here in Imperial County, that's our focus, that's our catchment area. We had to become familiar with Mexicali and the specialty and services provided for cancer patients when one of our residents goes and has private insurance in Mexicali and are diagnosed and want to receive their treatment in the United States. It is quite a process to move that forward. So in doing so, we've established quite a strong reputation, not only with the medical providers in Mexicali, but UABC has requested to collaborate with the Cancer Resource Center of the Desert, as has San Diego State University. I am a lecturer for San Diego State University's Masters of Social Work program, and that has really opened up the understanding of the School of Social Work out of San Diego to really embrace the work that the Cancer Resource Center is doing. Most importantly, they're very interested in the binational access and support that we provide our patients.
Excellent.
So that's the collaboration that's being established is currently, we are in the beginning. UABC wants to create a specific intervention for cancer patients in Spanish based on resiliency. And so it's something that will be afforded free of charge to our cancer patients that will be designed by UABC. The U.S.-Mexico Binational Health Commission, we participate with their consortium of the Californias. And the reason that's really important, we've been participating with them since 2008. And what we've done is we've been able to engage them and identify the needs that we have in our local community. Next, in 2 weeks, I will be in Tijuana at the UABC site presenting on culturally sensitive interventions for cancer patients. They want to know how, on both sides of the border, why are we so successful in helping people integrate their disease process and the options available to them. Some of the services we provide to persons who are diagnosed any type of cancer, men, women, and children, we provide culturally sensitive, humble, bilingual psychotherapeutic interventions to address the distress levels that patients and their children are experiencing. We provide the education to those family members and those patients to understand what it means to undergo their cancer treatment process. We call this psychoeducation. We assist people who are either uninsured or underinsured in accessing adequate insurance. That is critical. If you do not have insurance, you will not be treated for your cancer. And we are, with great speed, we are able to access a multitude of a variety of insurance access so that these individuals can access their health care through cancer. Another aspect is we also assist patients with transportation support. That's a big barrier in our community for the many visits that cancer patients have to undergo for their treatment. Our aim, basically, simplistically, is to remove barriers to their cancer treatment. This very busy slide was created intentionally, not to be busy, but to be specific. In 2018, from January through September 30th, countywide, we have served 378 cancer patients. The residents of the city of El Centro, we have served 120. It is broken down by gender because the majority are women. That is the table to your left, and those are all the variety of cancers that we encounter any stage, and we design our work specifically, individually, comprehensively to help them address the issues they are dealing with. The table on the right is for the El Centro Regional Medical Center's Hematology and Oncology Clinic. We are contracted with them to provide patient navigation services at their clinic. We have served 161 persons this year from January through September 30th. One of the very important aspects that we help people with is through helping them with medical expense relief and grant assistance. This is a very important slide because the monies that we've been able to mitigate are people's out-of-pocket costs. From the city of El Centro in 2017, we helped mitigate $40,100. In 2018, we mitigated $122,500. That is money that we've mitigated that were either incorrectly billed or the person didn't have appropriate insurance or insurance at all, and we were able to activate it in order to alleviate them of these bills. What this money does, it is money back into your local economy here. And so I think it's worth noting that that is the economic benefit that we provide along with all of the psychological and emotional support we provide our patients. At the clinic, in 2017, we mitigated $261,000, and so far this year, we've mitigated $167,235. Overall, county-wise, in 2017, we alleviated $323,798, and in 2018, we are at $396,400. That is growing higher. We're getting really great at the work we do. The grant assistance are how we garner support for our cancer patients through grants and other supports. So it's broken down from 2017 and 2018, but here in the city of El Centro for this year, we've been able to help provide additional funding to our cancer patients of over $12,000. And for the oncology center, over $18,000, and countywide, over $42,000. This particular slide is regards to insurance conversions. What it means is that if a person either does not have insurance or has inadequate insurance, it is a huge impact to their quality of care. On the left, there is the uninsured patients table. And what that is in 2018, this year, we had 3 people who came to us uninsured with cancer. And we were able to help them obtain that coverage, thus creating a local economic value benefit of $285,000. That's in the city of El Centro residents. Last year, it was $190,000. The oncology center, since we're contracted with them, we also track that. We had 1 uninsured patient come to us at a value of $95,000 this year. There were 7 last year, and that was for a value of $665,000. These numbers are what are, not only are we opening up access, but medical providers on the flip side of that equation are receiving payment. Any medical provider touching that patient off of our work, they will get paid. So economically, emotionally, psychologically, we affect many facets of the work we do. The second grid is patients who lost insurance during treatment. This is one of the most devastating experiences for persons. For example, if they're working on employer-provided insurance, get ill, cannot return, use up all of their sick days, and can no longer work, they lose their insurance and are offered COBRA. And it's just cost prohibitive. We are excellent at helping them access appropriate insurance accessibility to help them meet the needs that they have for to stay alive. If this isn't done, they complicate and they experience a premature death. So for us, we believe we've saved many lives with the work we do and keep them going, removing those barriers to their care. So this year was $190,000 for the city of El Centro. Last year was for $285,000 for 3 people. And these are conservative numbers because this is reflective only of chemotherapy, not radiation, not PET scans, not labs. So the clinic, we were able to also do 2 people, doesn't necessarily mean the same people, $190,000 and so I went over that. And countywide, we're at $950,000 in 2018 already. This last table, this small table called Improve to Better Insurance Coverage. What this means, I don't have an economic value to it. What it is, let me give you an example. If someone who is diagnosed with cancer and on Medicare, and they have Part A and B, they are subject to a 20% copay, out-of-pocket deductibles. Some of these persons, when they receive their treatment, one chemotherapy treatment can easily be $18,000. So you're looking at $3,600 out of pocket, and they're getting that infusion every 3 weeks. It's cost prohibitive. So when we talk about helping people to access better insurance coverage, that's what we're doing. And for the city of El Centro this year, we've helped 12 people go from whatever coverage they had to a better situation. And last year, we did that for 20 people in your residence. At the clinic, we were able to do that for 28 people so far and 49 people last year. Countywide, we were able to help improve that coverage from this year for 89 people overall and 56 last year. Our research initiative covers many projects. We have concluded a metastatic breast cancer project funded by Avon Pfizer. It was a 2-year study focusing on the needs of women who have breast cancer and were terminal. The logistics of living with this disease and the logistics of dying were also addressed, and how to communicate with those children. Many of these women had minor children. They needed information on guardianship. They needed logistics on what's going to happen with my family now and afterwards, and burial, and all the myriad of issues that they have to face and decisions. It was from this project that we identified the need of the need for advanced care planning, and that fed into another project. So we concluded with that, and one piece to note is that we submitted the paper of that data to the American the APHA, which is the American Public Health Association. They are having their annual meeting in San Diego, and they accepted our poster presentation.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Mind you, we are social workers. We are not from the School of Public Health, and they recognize the power to the work we're doing. The other project comes from UCSF, University of California, San Francisco, Nuevo Amanecer. We are concluding that we're in the 3rd year. This particular project is designed to help women with breast cancer be coached by a peer called a compañera, who will teach them how to cope with anxiety and the issues that arise with this disease in real effective ways. It's a 6-month project, and at baseline, we take saliva samples and hair samples to measure cortisol levels. And at post, at the end of the 6-month learning of how to cope better, those samples are taken again to see if there's been a reduction in cortisol levels and produced through their anxiety. The other project we are in the midst of is called Árboles, Assessing Risk of Breast Cancer through Outreach to Latinas with Education and Support. We were approached by Georgetown University, all of my team, to be trained in in understanding the risk factors Latinas with breast cancer are facing when it comes to genetic testing. The Latinas are not participating in genetic testing, and they are at high risk for the BRCA1 and 2 gene mutation. So half of my staff was trained in Washington, D.C., and the other half of my staff just returned from Florida at Moffitt Cancer Center. And it is a very profound training session for all of us. That builds capacity in our staffing. We're taught to teach and train people in English and Spanish of the risk factors pursuant to their genetic testing. This is what's being afforded for free at no cost to our patients, and that's the quality being provided in our community. We were also approached by Rush University Medical Center in Chicago, and to participate in a project called Rekindle to help women who are Latinas and in Spanish, to help them address issues of psychosexual issues that they experience post cancer. When they're cancer survivors, all the challenges that occur with their body and their emotional state. There is no information available on the internet that is a vetted information site in Spanish to help these women communicate with their physicians their needs. And so we are one of the sites. It's occurring at Georgetown University, Chicago, UCSF, and they asked Imperial County if we would be involved, and that was Cancer Resource Center. The current Advanced Care Planning and Quality of Life study is a study that came from the identifying the need for establishing advanced directives from the original metastatic program that we were providing for our women. This ACP study is what we call it. It is self-funded. It is IRB approved, meaning the University Institutional Review Board gave its pass for us to do this study. This particular study is designed to help people establish their advanced directives. And there are many people that do not, and they have cancer. So the education around that is really important, and it's part of their quality of life. The other aspect to that around the quality of life is that we also, Dr. Stephen Pergam out of the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Washington State, he asked us if we would also work with his study, which is a cannabis survey, helping patients identify what their needs are, the perspectives on use of cannabis. We have expanded that survey to include the use of CBD derived from hemp and the benefits and the interest that our cancer patients are having. It is a needs assessment of our patients. This came about due to many patients asking us for guidance, and we didn't have it at the time. So when this particular opportunity came forward, it was one that we found very interesting because of the benefits that our cancer patients are experiencing due to this medicine. And so once we conclude our study, that university, Dr. Pergam's center wants to also implement another study furthering that. Not only has it been helpful in alleviating a lot of the symptoms from having cancer and being treated by cancer, but they also found that people are successfully utilizing these cancer patients for their anxiety and their depression. So they're curious to see, are those the results we have? And we're not concluded yet. This last and final study that I think is very important for you to know. We were, a couple weeks back, we were notified that we were awarded the UCSD Moores Cancer Center Comprehensive Cancer Partnership that's with SDSU. It's called Proyecto Mariposa, and it's a cancer survivorship program specifically for Latinas who are survivors. This particular partnership is NIH funded, and the application process was just as rigorous. And we were one of 3. We are the only ones in Imperial County being awarded this. There was a lot of competition. The others are a clinic in San Diego and some specific lung cancer scientists out of Moores. This is it's a big deal because El Centro Regional Medical Center's Oncology Clinic is our other community partner. And CRCD and the Oncology Center are the community partners of this, and this is just a powerful working partnership with Dr. Ahmed, Dr. Razak, in working those survivorship plans, and that's very, very, I'm just really proud of it. It was a difficult process. And so tried to get through that very quickly. Does anyone have any questions?
We'll start down this way first.
You know, I just always appreciated the work that you've done, especially here in the city of El Centro. I know we've tried to help as much
Yes,
as we
you
can
have.
with sponsorships,
Appreciate that.
so I know our council unanimously supports your efforts, and just that supplemental and now research part of your program is just something that's much needed, So congrats to you and your staff and your board. Thank you again for that service that you provide to our community.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I've always been very impressed with the work that you guys have done here in the Valley and especially in El Centro. Just a quick update, I'd like to know, it's been a year or so, 2 years maybe, you had, and I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name that did all the sewing and design, and how
Oh,
that clothing line was coming.
Yes,
'cause I
he
know-
was a volunteer, and that particular social enterprise is called Survivorware.
Yes.
And that he is a volunteer, and he moved on to other projects, left us all of the templates, and we have another volunteer that is working with us to do that and create individualized design for certain needs people have. And so, yes, it's still going, and we already have the website set up and are launching it also through Facebook.
Good.
And what it is those garments for cancer patients and the needs they have.
Yeah.
So we're very excited that that
Good, 'cause
continues on.
I think I
with
saw
us.
that as a great potential for revenue for the organization
is.
through online sales and such.
Absolutely.
And then my other question was, when you help transition somebody from, or somebody that maybe doesn't have insurance at all, how do you help them acquire insurance? And then if you already have insurance, how do you help them transition to maybe a better coverage or something that better addresses what their illness is?
That comes from a very comprehensive, individualized assessment of their finances, of their health coverage, if any, and the medical information that they have available. If it's all in Spanish, for example, and that's where they biopsied and found that they had cancer in Mexicali, that has to be translated, and then we have to cross the biopsy tissue because they have to have a U.S. certified pathology report. And the very great thing, El Centro's clinic also pays for the translation of those medical records, so it makes it a real smooth access point. But we also look at where they are and what they are eligible for. Those are for your uninsured. For those people who have insurance, we're looking any of the out-of-pocket cost that is an impact to them. So we look for either supplemental or specialty programs that the state may be providing. We also explore it with Social Security if it's not Medicare and it's private insurance, to begin the process of the disability status permanent. So the variety of the information that staff has is, my personal view is I believe you need to be highly credentialed to be able to do such comprehensive groundwork. We also have a master's level trained outreach worker who is also providing information to help assess that. So we approach it very differently. On the insurance level, it's complex, and we're really good at it.
Wow. Well, congratulations and
Thank
continue
you.
the great work that you're doing for our residents and for the county as a whole. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Silva?
Helen, thank you so much for, on behalf of all the people that you helped throughout the years. And you guys don't know this, but Helen and I go way back,
Way back.
probably a good 20 years where we worked together. We were 10 when we started working
That's right,
together.
we were kids.
Newspaper route.
Yeah. And, you know, the passion and the dedication that you see in Helen, I've always sighed and admired it. So just thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, I just have to say that it's amazing what your organization is doing for the residents of our county, not to mention the city. And it's a very difficult thing to deal with when a loved one has cancer or when someone is diagnosed. And to know that there's a group out there that is working diligently to assist them in multiple facets.
Yes.
It's very comforting. And I just thank you for all of your hard work, and I wish you the best of luck and the best wishes. It's hard to describe in words how I feel that your organization needs to thrive and needs to grow. The funding for something like this, it's devastating to families.
Yes, it is.
And it's something that medical expenses are one of the leading causes of bankruptcy, and it's becoming a national epidemic because cancer is something that needs to. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing, and it affects all of us. I mean, my family's been affected by it as well, and it's wonderful to have an organization like yours out there.
Thank you so much. And those medical bills do affect their quality of life at many levels, even accessing their care properly. And that's where we're great advocates. We do what's called pushing the system. We will push it at every level. We're very tenacious and very compassionate. So thank you for your generous listening. I just thought you should know. We don't have a marketing budget, so
Yeah.
people are not aware of the work we do.
So
Thank
Helen,
you.
I hope you convey our thoughts and of appreciation back to your staff and your volunteers. And I see we have some former folks in the
Yes,
audience as
yes.
well that were associated with the program. During your presentation, I think what struck me is the number of women that have to cope with breast cancer.
That's right.
I mean, far and away, based on the statistics that you provided. So that's one thing that was very impactful for me. And the other was the great partnerships that you've been
Yes.
able to build
Yep.
within the community, especially with El Centro Regional Medical Center
Absolutely.
and the Cancer Center there. The third thing that I thought was very impactful is the research opportunities, and especially the uniqueness of our border community and how we can collaborate binationally on those health issues. So you're to be commended for that. I think about, just from a family's perspective, and how much anxiety there is.
Yes.
And people cannot listen effectively, right? They lose their ability to listen effectively, and how important it is to have an advocate and someone that knows how to make their way through the system. So thank you for being that comfort. Thank you
you.
for providing the compassion and empathy to all of those clients. We really appreciate it.
Your acknowledgement is most appreciated. Thank you.
All right. The next item on our agenda is item number 5, which is a presentation by Adriana Nava, Community Services Director, regarding the Meadows Union Elementary School District Summer Lunch Program. What I want to do, thank you very much. What I want to do is, after this item, typically we have public comments much later in the agenda, but I do want to get to Patricia right after this scheduled item. And then we're also going to bump up, just so you know, Gina Vargas with Woman Haven told me she has 2 grant applications she needs to get to, so we're going to bump up that item as well. Adriana, come up here because you're beautiful, and just wave at everybody. She provided the talking points to me, so you come up here and be beautiful, and I'll be the talking points behind you. Ready? So, Meadows Union High School District Feeding Program, 2014 through 2018. Now, the meals are provided at various locations within the city of El Centro, at our El Centro Community Center, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Indoor Sports Pavilion, and also our library. And it is estimated that the Meadows Union High School District has provided approximately 80,000 after-school meals, snacks, breakfasts, and lunches at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Pavilion since 2014. It's also estimated that Meadows Union High School District has provided about 76,120 after-school meals, snacks, breakfasts, and lunches at the El Centro Community Center since 2014. So total number served is a little over 156,000, más o menos. Okay. And the funding comes from USDA, and I think that that's very important. But again, this is one of those partnerships that it benefits our underserved community here. So who do we have here? Because we have this like amazing award here. That are you Mr. Moreno?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then this is going to go to you in a couple minutes. So
Thank you. Theodore Moreno, Cafeteria Student Nutrition Manager for Meadows. We just want to say thank you, and it's an honor and privilege to serve the city of El Centro to all these needy children. We take honor and pride in providing good, delicious nutrition food. Even though we do provide it, that it's free, we still put love and commitment and all that good stuff into our meals. And we want to say thank you for recognizing us for this. Also, I want to introduce a fraction of my staff, because I couldn't do this alone.
really,
Really.
156,000 snacks and lunches, not on your own?
I'd like to introduce Mr. Tommy Beeson.
Notice the chef outfit.
See that?
Love that.
Very
Awesome.
dedicated. Right behind him, Ana Lili Duran.
Thank you.
Our delivery driver that drives the food to your guys' sites, Norma Topete. and also our school principal. Without her support and dedication with us, this wouldn't be possible. Kayla Rodriguez.
What I'd like to do, I'm going to read this real quick, and then we're going to come down for some pictures. So with our deepest appreciation, we hereby honor Theodore Moreno, Cafeteria Manager, Meadows Union Elementary School, with this gift in recognition for your passion and your unconditional commitment and enduring dedicated service, October 2018. So,
Thank you.
all right.
Ready? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. One more, please. Thank you.
Somebody's taking care of you.
Where are we going now?
Okay, so I think you explained to me that you have another commitment at like now, so I don't want to make you sit through the entire meeting, so please, and we had
Thank
an
you.
opportunity to talk a little bit, so I think
Yes.
it's really important.
Hello, my name is Patricia Ochoa. I'm here on behalf of my children who are participants in the Recreation Center for Half Pint and Stepping Stones. It was recently, actually just yesterday, I found out that Half Pint has been discontinued. This is a program that is very needed, and a lot of the children, well, actually, it's very limited. Only about 20 children, 20 to 25 children can attend these programs.
And Patricia, do you want to explain to everyone, I think we know what the Half
Okay,
Pint program
so
is, but
The Half Pint program is an after-school recreation program. It's from 3 to 6. Pretty much it's 3 hours of story time, craft time, play time. Social skills are learned by playing with one another, the children playing with one another. We have 3 staff members who lead the children and the story time, the singing, what preschoolers do, 3 to 6. And then Stepping Stones is the same. It's a similar program, but in this program, the parents stay at Half Pint. The children are left there from 3 to 6 without the parents. So my concern is, well, for me, I had already planned my whole semester that 3 to 6 I would be taking a class, and my children would be there from 3 to 6. So yesterday we found out the program was canceled, and it's affecting a lot of, not just my family, and it's not just an opportunity my children are losing, but it's an opportunity that other parents and whose children are also losing out on. So my concern is that there are only 2 programs within the city of El Centro for children ages 3 to 6. And this is an after-school program, and it's a very affordable program. It's only $35 per child. I think it's $35 maybe. Yeah, $35 per child plus $10 each additional child. There's one mom in particular who has 3 children. This mother works, I think she works 2 jobs. And for her to be able to work those 2 jobs, half pint makes the difference to her, because those 3 hours are 3 hours that she does not have to work to pay for childcare, and I believe she's a single mom. So that's one family who's who's affected even greatly than I am.
Right.
And so I come to the council to find out how can we bring funds to keep these programs alive without cutting into the budget, because it is my understanding that these programs, or this program was cut because of budget reasons and lack of attendance. But I
Well,
can personally say that,
Those are 2 kind of different things, right?
yeah, exactly.
Lack of participation and budget,
But
right? Okay.
I can personally say that I've been on a waiting list for this program in the past for 2 months to be able to attend this program. And perhaps children don't attend every day, but it's a program that we pay monthly, and it's non-refundable. So whether we attend or not, it's paid for, and no other children, even if they're on the waiting list, and let's say I'm absent a whole week, another child cannot take my spot. My spot's already paid for. So I don't see how these 2 different things have both become the main reason why this program has been cut. So,
And I'm really glad that you brought this up to us, and I think Ms. Nava is going to address, and I wasn't aware of the program cut, but let's hear from.
Yeah,
And
so
Patricia, thank you for being here.
Adriana Nava, Community Services Director. This was a difficult decision we had to make recently. The minimum wage is going up to $12 an hour. Currently, we have 3 staff that work that program. So the minimum wage is going up. This is the program that has the least enrollment. It's about 15, almost daily, you see 6 to 8 kids, but we have 3 staff there every day. And they work about 6 to 7 hours, including prep. So because of the low amount of children, the $35 fee for the program and the minimum wage increase, this was the program that was unfortunately cut.
What would minimum enrollment need to be for the program to pencil out for us to offer it?
It's not going to pencil out, unfortunately, because unless we increase the cost of the program. But then if you increase the cost of the program, you get into, even lower numbers. So for us, this was unfortunately the program that was affected by the minimum wage increase and other costs.
What, if I may,
Please.
what, to speak to what
Patricia.
Ms.
Ms. Ochoa.
Ms. Ochoa said, that if a family pays for the enrollment fee and doesn't show up, in essence, that position's paid for. So when you say that the participation is 6 to 8, does that mean the other 12 or 14 spots are paid for?
So we go month to month, right? So in some occasions, we struggle to meet the number of 15 for the first month. So the second month, given that we already have low people interested really in the program, because there are only 6 or 7 kids are coming in daily, we are not anticipating to meet the full 15 the next month. And even with the 3 staff, the ratio that we have to keep is six children for every 1 staff. And we can't tell staff, okay, today you're working, tomorrow we don't know if you're working. So the budget cost for the staffing for the program is very high, and we're only charging $35 an hour. I mean, $35 per month. And we can go over the numbers with council as to personnel, but this is something that's affecting us throughout entire recreation. This is at the pavilion as well. The number of staff, we've shifted some of the staff to recreation. So now the community center, so now at the pavilion, we're having less staff as well. So we've been trying to cram numbers, but it's not working out for us under the budget that we have adopted right now.
Okay, so I think that what needs to happen, Ms. Nava, is maybe at the next city council meeting, because I don't think that we want to be like not in the know and not part of the mix and not understand what the needs of the program are, right? And to see programs canceled or shuffled or something like that, I think that we would like to have a little more insight into that, so.
Certainly, and we can go over the budget figures and see
Right.
what we have for personnel
Right.
and our estimates. So with the amount of staff that was hired over the summer
Right.
and where we're at in the budget right now, it's not gonna work out. And so in order for us to meet our budget amounts, this is what we had to do, is decrease staff and decrease programming.
Yep. And were we able to identify other programs within the city of El Centro where we could assist parents with maybe helping them navigate to another provider, whether it's through ICOE, they have a number of after-school programs on campus at the elementary school, or were we able to do any of that?
We can certainly look into that. I think right now, the parents, were just informed and not said, maybe we could try another program or what's available in the community. So that's certainly something we can do.
Yes, okay, so, I don't do this very often, but as sole woman council member up here, I remember the struggles of trying to raise 2 children and not have access to childcare. And for me to have had childcare canceled with very little notice, that would have been a disaster when you're trying to juggle, work and kids and family and everything else. I mean, I'm not alone in this, but I know that it is very, very stressful. And so I think that to the extent we can assist with families finding options, that would be fantastic. Okay, and Ms. Ochoa,
And we
I'd be
will follow
willing
up
to work
with,
with you.
on the personnel issues that we have at recreation. I mean, any additional input and help would be greatly appreciated.
Very good.
What do we have as far as potential grant funding that would maybe help facilitate or subsidize some kind of program like this? There's got to be some early development type grants out there that
So
maybe
we talked about Prop 10 First 5.
Yes.
Pat was going to look into it, but I haven't received the feedback as to the deadlines for the next grant cycle, because I told him, listen, I do not want to cut programs. Let's look for grant opportunities, and that's something that we're currently working on. Unfortunately, we already missed the last funding cycle, so we have to wait until the next one.
And maybe this is a good opportunity. We've talked about California Consulting, and maybe, we just don't have the staff. I mean, we have some great people in our staff that do grant writing, but they're overloaded, I think. And I think that, we're missing opportunities, and maybe this is a good time to, research that and maybe take a second look at bringing in a consultant that just looks at that low-hanging fruit, like, First 5 and things like that, that I think we certainly, from a demographic perspective, we certainly qualify for. And I think if we can get some of that, and I commend you, Ms. Ochoa, for coming in. I think it's always good to hear from the public and how things like this, sometimes on paper, doesn't show that it affects people, but to have you come in and talk about it, I think really kind of puts a light on it, and we should be doing what we can to try to facilitate that, because I agree, I think, I'm not at that point yet where childcare is an issue, but
It will be.
I'm sure it will be, and I think to cancel something with, little or no notice is got to be probably devastating for you, and affecting maybe your education as far as this class that you have, you're trying to facilitate. So if we can maybe do that, maybe reach out to them and see what we can do, and maybe not miss the next funding cycle.
Yes, and Mayor, if I may, as a matter of fact, this was a conversation that Ms. Nava and I had about looking at alternatives, and also having an opportunity for her to present to you basically what recreation programs we have year-round. One of the things, as part of our budget, obviously, we look at very closely where we are in terms of our services, and also working with the department itself to look at, what services are they providing where we are seeing the high numbers. I mean, I know that in certain recreation programs, we see higher numbers, others we don't. So it's a constant evaluation that's done, and so her and I talked about having a presentation, because we're kind of in a similar situation with the hours that we are operating at the sports pavilion. And so she's getting ready to put together a presentation as to what our options are, what kind of attendance we have. So as a matter of fact, we talked about that. So it's going to be presented to you. Obviously, we appreciate Ms. Ochoa coming forward, but we'll do whatever we can to find alternatives. As a matter of fact, Half Pint was the creation of a grant program that was done. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you have grant-funded programs and, they come to an end, you have to figure out a way to pick them up. But, throughout these years, through the general fund, we've been able to do that. But given other, challenges that we have financially, we find ourselves in the need to having to revisit it. So we will be working on that. She is going to come forward and present you with a presentation as to all our recreation programs and what we're doing for each facility.
And
Thank
maybe,
you.
if I may, one last thing is part of that presentation, Adriana, is maybe how we can market these programs, whether it's through the schools or through the hospitals, or some preschool type stuff. I mean, I think for a program that costs $35 a month, there's got to be 20 families out there that would love to take advantage of that for $35. I mean, I know I'm starting to find out how much this stuff is going to cost. $35 is a steal, and yes.
I'm sorry, I just want to add, I think that the reason that the enrollment decreased was because last year there was a waiting list, and that discourages people. When they're turned away, there's a limited amount of spots, and people are turned away. It discourages parents to come again, because they're like, oh, well, it was turned away, there's probably a waiting list, and they don't seek it again. I'm telling you, last year I waited 2 months to be able to enroll my 3-year-old in the program. Same thing for the stepping stones. Parents are turned away because it's a small group, and that's understandable. But then when there are spots open, parents don't come and check again because they were already turned away once because there's a waiting list. So I think that's what's causing this to happen. And the parents that are attending Half Pint and stepping stones are the parents who don't qualify for ICOE, who don't qualify and can't afford a preschool or child. We're in the middle. We don't have enough for the child care. We don't qualify for the free public preschools. And,
You're in that gap.
We're in that gap.
Yeah,
And
all
those
right.
are the people and we don't just have people from El Centro, we have people from Calexico, El Centro, all over the county coming to this program. So the need is there and people will come. And I think that we could give them a chance again. If we have to give them a chance this month, the numbers will be there. Parents were coming in yesterday. I bumped into several who were coming in to pay their dues for October, and they were turned away.
Ms. Ochoa, I'm going to give you my card, and we can get together on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we are going to move item number 15 up, which is a sponsorship request. Okay, you just about knocked me over there, Mr. Can we call up item number 15?
15.
Who's presenting? Are you presenting?
Gina, probably Gina, right?
Okay, here we go.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, I bring before you our first sponsorship request for this fiscal year. A request has been made by Woman Haven for their program, the 4th Annual Mariposa Award Fundraiser Gala that is scheduled to be held October 12th at the Imperial Valley Expo, Plaza de las Culturas in Imperial. They've submitted all the documentation necessary, and the application has been reviewed by the mayor and approved to move forward to council.
Okay, any questions, or can we get a motion to approve that item?
Oh, well, I'm doing.
Beep, 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 beep. Ah. Hey. Phew. Okay, Gina, there you go, $1,000. Thank you for all that you do. We really appreciate that. Sorry you had to wait an hour and 20 minutes, but did you have anything you wanted to share with us, or?
Maybe we could just say a few words. I do have 2 of my board members.
Yes,
here
you
with
do.
me. We have Monica Ketchum and Arlen DeVoe that are helping us with this event. And so we really thank you for your support and bringing awareness to our community in El Centro, Imperial County, as wide as what exists. I hope he's okay. What exists here in our community, because domestic violence does happen here, and that together we can strengthen our community by joining forces and bringing awareness to those that we serve. As I say, I do have Monica Ketchum, one of our board members here. I don't know if she wants to say a few words.
Yeah, this is a, not only a fundraiser, but it's also an opportunity for us to honor survivors who have turned their life around and gone out and begun to advocate for raising awareness about domestic violence. It's hard enough to leave a violent situation, but then to go forward and share your story and advocate is something that we really want to honor these women for. So we are honoring Flor Overton and Barbara Lopez this year with the Mariposa Award. We also lost one of our board members this year, Lana Cervantes, who was a insurance agent, and she's also being honored as with the Visionary Award, which is given out to those who have really spent a lot of time on the ground advocating and raising awareness about domestic violence. And then finally, we have another award, and that is our Partnership Award. And that is going to be, we're going to recognize the Imperial County Association of Realtors. Because we do have these organizations, local organizations, who will fundraise for us just because they find our cause worthwhile. And so they came on board as a supporter this year, so we're recognizing their work. And as a nonprofit organization, so much of the money that we receive for things like domestic violence, emergency shelters, rapid rehousing, and things like that, they're grants. And so there's a lot of strings attached. They're restricted in the way that we can use them. And so this fundraising effort really helps us to have some unrestricted funds so that we can go out in the community, raise awareness, do outreach to local schools, middle schools, high schools about teen dating violence. We can really go out to our community and make sure that we put an end to this plague in our society. So we thank you very much for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Arlen, do you want to say a few words?
I don't think I need to say too much. I think everybody already said what needed to be said. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Yes, and thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Good luck on those grants that you're going to be working on. Okay.
And I do like that, for that childcare, we'd really like to look into it for the women who are in our shelter. To see how
Absolutely.
they could benefit from it, and where we have funding that pays for that, that maybe we could send them there if you guys.
I'm
Great opportunity for the mothers and the children.
loving that idea. Thank you, Gina. Okay. At this time, we're going to move forward with our consent agenda. I am going to pull item 9, and I am going to pull item number, is it 12? Yes, item 9 and 12 for further information to be provided by the fire and police departments. Is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about? The armed services at the transfer station, crossing guards, anything? Okay, we'll look for a motion.
And I just
Yes.
make a comment. I was very happy to see that the bid for the 6 trucks went to a local
Absolutely.
dealership.
So right now, we're looking for items number 6, 7, 8, 10, and 11, so those 5 items. We have a motion by Cardenas, second by Garcia. That's moving forward. Thank you. With regard to item number 9, Chief Herbert, my question was, and thank you, Mr. Sobel, for your comment. Yeah, we do appreciate when it goes to a local company, because we love the sales tax dollars, but my question is, so what happens to the 6 existing vehicles or the vehicles that we're replacing?
The vehicles that are going to be replaced are going to be auctioned off through the city process.
Okay. Because I think sometimes in the past, we've actually donated them to our sister agencies in,
We have, there actually, I did have somebody reach out regarding one of the vehicles for that use, so that is something I told them I'd follow up with an Explorer, but, I don't know, a couple of these vehicles aren't even suitable for donation, so.
Okay. The other thing, the last time we had a big turnover with regard to vehicles, the hospital expressed an interest. Wasn't that right, Marcella? Dr. Edwards. So before we auction those off, could you check with the hospital as well? please?
I'd be happy to.
Not on the ones that aren't running, but the other ones. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, thank you for that. And we have item number 9. We have a motion, we have a second. And that, who hasn't voted yet?
Mr. Silva?
Mr. Silva. And that passes 5-0. Okay, item number 12. Is Ruben? Okay. So I asked that this item be pulled because somewhere in my foggy brain, I thought we had stopped billing for false alarms, but I guess not. So I was hoping that we could get re-educated on what you're doing and how
Absolutely.
this is working.
Madam Mayor, Honorable Council, good evening. Ruben Martel with El Centro PD. In speaking to the mayor prior to the meeting, she did state that she was under the impression that we had
Good.
stopped billing. The City Council in 2004 adopted resolutions which provided the guidelines for the implementation and processing of permits for alarms within the city. Also incorporated ordinances regarding service fees for false alarms. As the ordinance currently reads, and it has not been updated since October of 2004, each alarm or each residence or business that has an alarm is afforded 2 alarms, freebies if you will, per quarter. Beginning with the 3rd alarm and thereafter, they're charged a $50 response each time an officer is dispatched to an alarm. Now, we understand that there's situations, bad weather, wind, that can cause these alarms to go off. And so we evaluate each alarm individually and determine if it is in fact a valid response or not. Billing is sent out at the end of each quarter. And up until last year, approximately a year ago at this time, our billing had been conducted by a company called Absolute Resolutions Corporation out of San Diego. That resolution was adopted in 2004 as well, the contract with them. About a year ago, they decided to refocus their efforts and focus their billing efforts on one large company that they worked with. So in essence, they dropped us.
Everybody else.
They dropped all their other clients, including us. In the interim, the billing has been done in-house at the police department. Like I said, we verify all the alarms, we tabulate them, we send out the billing. City Attorney Betsy Martin and I had been working to join or to work with another company that was going to do our billing. However, their system was not able to incorporate our information. And so at about that time, when we had reached a standstill, we were contacted by a new company called Recovery Remedies Corporation, out of San Diego as well. RRC, as they're more commonly called, is comprised of the senior management of the previous company that we worked with. They didn't like the focus that the company was going, and so they formed their own company. And as a previous client, reached out to us to see if we would like to continue working with them. And so since they are familiar with our format and our setup, that is the agenda item that we have before you today.
Okay. And could you touch on a little bit you bill quarterly, so how much is that quarterly bill that we're kind of sending out? What kind of payment rate or compliance rate you're receiving, and then the split between residential and commercial?
So I think the split between residential and commercial is a significantly higher commercial. It's more businesses. You have very few home alarms that reach the level that some of the businesses do. The billing currently tabulated for the quarter that ended on September 30 is roughly about $9,850 for false alarm billings. That does include a couple of large accounts for local businesses that have a continuous problem with their alarms. When these anomalies are noted throughout the quarter, officers and or sergeants will make an effort to notify the businesses that they have problems with these issues and hope that they rectify it. A lot of times, because they're a larger corporation, it's not a big issue to them, and so they just pay the bill at the end of the quarter, yeah.
You noted that the this was put in play in like 2004?
In
So are we
2004.
gonna be
And
revisiting
it hasn't
the-
been updated since. However, City Attorney Betsy Martin and I have been working to update it, and in conjunction with Chief Herbert of the Fire Department, because a lot of these alarms, when they're set up with their companies, cover both police and fire response. And so we are hoping to implement what would be more of a public safety alarm permit,
Oh, okay.
which would be administered through the police department. Hopefully, be able to change the ordinance to require it to be a yearly renewal instead of a one-time fee, so that we have, on a yearly basis, up-to-date current information for responsible parties.
Could we withhold renewal of a business license if they haven't paid the fee?
Yes, probably. Or we could add the charge for the false alarm to the business license fee.
Well, I mean.
Which I think is what some cities do.
Yeah,
Yes, it
no
is.
sense sending out bills if people are just gonna ignore them, so.
Yes. And so this company, as the previous one, was very good, and we had a very good response in terms of our billing, because what we were able to see is that them receiving a bill from a company that incorporates the word collections in their title, it makes it seem like they're from a collection agency. Whereas the purpose of utilizing the company for us was simply a third-party billing company.
Right.
And so what we incorporated was in-house El Centro Police Department invoice that made
Right.
them feel more at ease to pay the bill, because they were able to get something from us that identified the service that we had provided.
But, I mean, really what we want is just for it to stop, right? I mean, we want compliance so that we're not responding or having to dedicate resources to respond to false alarms.
Exactly. The
So-
hopes of the program and the changes that we hope to implement, we hope will be able to deter them from not paying attention to the fact that their alarms are malfunctioning.
Yeah. My cat used to set mine off, and so that $50 fee came right out of his kibble, so. Mr. Silva, did you have any questions, comments? No.
Mr. Martel, I know that, I was under the impression that schools were probably the biggest offender of alarms. Is that
Really?
accurate, or
No,
no?
it's not actually. The billing that I just completed for the third quarter that just ended actually had one school, and it's a $50 charge only. So they're not, some of the bigger problems are more of our larger retail locations that have sometimes 24-hour staff there
Oh.
that set off the alarms, and so.
Okay, well, fantastic. So before us then is renewal, or a new agreement for false alarm fee collection services. Okey-dokey, and that passed 5-0. Well done. Thank you very much. Let's see. We are now moving on, oh, bless you, to item number 13. Okay, bless you. Item number 13.
Mr. Silva got Mr. Garcia sick.
No, stop. No. Direction and action regarding extending the.
We're moving.
Yeah, I'm
Stop.
out.
Yeah, if I start sneezing, you're out of here. Prohibition of commercial cannabis activities. Ms. Viacania.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. The item before you is we're back for further direction. As you may recall, last year, the City Council approved an ordinance, a resolution extending the prohibition of commercial cannabis activities till December 31st of this year. Well, December 31st is coming up pretty soon, and we're wanted further direction from the council. City staff did meet with members of the task force, Mayor Pro Tem Garcia and Councilmember Silva, to try and figure out the best manner to proceed. And in light of all the constant continuing legislation and issues that are very conflicting, we are requesting maybe a 6-month, or we would rather have a 1-year extension. And what that would do is we would come back to council probably in January, February, to ask for direction, further direction as to how to proceed. If the council wishes to proceed to set up a regulatory ordinance, then we would go back and start working on that ordinance. And from what I've seen from other cities, it takes more than 6 months to come up with a good ordinance, set up fees and so forth. So we would, I would request a 1-year extension, coming back to you early next year for further direction.
So members of the task force, any additional comments or anything you'd like to share with us?
Go ahead. Well, my entire focus on this has been basically trying to hit a moving target.
Oh, yeah.
Sacramento has very different opinions as to how things are going, and they're essentially fighting it out up north. I want to make sure that we maintain local control as a council, and I think that it would be appropriate at this time to extend it. I don't know if a year is appropriate. I think we should be looking at this in January, and we may have to extend it further. But I think a 6-month extension should be appropriate for us to at least continue to look at what's going on and to be proactive about this.
And I believe, Ms. Villacana, and that folks that are in need of it from a medical standpoint, that they do have access to it, and that is that they have the ability to cultivate it indoor and outdoor currently, correct?
Indoor, right?
Indoor.
Yes.
So they can cultivate it indoor, and then that the delivery service of medical cannabis is still available to them. Is that accurate?
Several services.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
Not that I know that personally. but-
Unregulated.
You know,
So you
I'll just
know.
add that recently the mayor and I were at League of Cities, and I attended.
True, I wasn't sure where you were going with
And,
that.
and our city manager was with us, and in fact, I think the one Marcel and I attended, the thing that I saw with the cannabis industry, and my position, I think, has been pretty clear all along, but, you know, I continue to seek out something that's going to change my opinion on where we are with cannabis. And I still haven't found that. I see the continued costs. Sacramento has, a cannabis division within their city hall, with administrators and staff members and tax collecting. And you sit there and you look at the potential revenue, and then you look at the cost, and then you have to look at the social issues that come with it too. And you can't put a price tag on that. But some of the cities have tried to talk about that, is, the funding and the money that comes in, they're funding social workers to help with addiction, the DUI issues that law enforcement are dealing with. And I continue to not see where we as a city would benefit from it. I've tried to keep an open mind, as I do with all issues, but until that comes up where there's a net positive, which I haven't found, unfortunately, I'm still against it. I do support, whatever the council would like to do, if it's a 6-month or a 1 year, because it is something that, I continue to research, and I think all of us have continued to research. Our staff is getting updates constantly from, League of Cities, and SCAG probably is looking into it too. So whatever the task force suggests, I'm good with as far as an extension, and we'll continue to research it and try to find, something that works for our city.
Madam Mayor, if I may chime in too, I wanted to piggyback on Councilmember Garcia's comment, but there is a fine line on the on defaulting to state regulations as opposed to local control. So I'm hoping that council and staff and our legal team continue to ensure that. I'm assuming that we do not want to default to state control. Is there
Correct.
kind of a unanimous
Correct.
consensus on that?
Absolutely.
That's absolutely correct.
And so again, I don't know what that means in terms of us providing a regulatory ordinance, but again, I am fearful of us losing that control. So I'm hoping that, that we continue to survey what the state is doing, but I don't want that window to close on us.
Okay.
So I would encourage the task force to just
I
to be
agree.
mindful of that.
So I think a 6-month extension would be appropriate. At some point in time, we're gonna have to make a decision on this.
But Councilmember Silva, can I confirm with staff that in the next 6 months or 12 months, that there will not be any type of legislation that would default us to state regulation or
Want to tell the future of Sacramento?
or is there anything pending, Betsy? Maybe, and I hate to blindside you on this, but
No, it's fine. The chief and I talk about this all the time. There's nothing pending which would take away your ability to regulate that type of thing. Now, there are a variety of changes to the regulations which make it much easier to operate that type of business. I wouldn't call the atmosphere local control friendly. I would call it operator friendly. For example, there's a bill the governor signed yesterday that gives priority of licensing to people who have been convicted of cannabis offenses. So you will have some ability to regulate. I can't tell you exactly what it will be. It will be similar.
Subject matter experts is what the.
That's one way to look at it. Yes. So yes, they haven't taken it away. They're just fiddling with it.
Okay, so specifically what's before us, folks, is that this would be extended until June 30, 2019. However, the item would be brought back in January for further council direction. We okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Viacania. That passed 5-0. Okay. We are moving on to item number 14, and I'd like to make a modification. I am requesting that we fund this request at $500, not $400. So we would be a sponsor of this one and the other. So my motion will be to fund at the $500 level.
Yeah.
Any questions for Liz?
No.
Or this is the.
No.
Okay.
is there any representation here from LGBT?
No, they're not
I
here.
don't see Rosa here, but.
So Lizzie, you'll let them know? Thank you. And don't lose that yearbook. Okay.
But
that
make copies of
passed,
the page that she's on.
No, this is from 1958.
Oh,
There-
the
yeah.
page that Steve's on then.
Stop that. Okay, so we're done. That's,
We didn't finish at 7 like
we
you
didn't
said.
finish at 7, we finished at 7:20.
Wow.
Okay, so let's have some mayor and council comments. Mr. Cardenas.
Yeah, just real quick. First of all, I want to thank, I do want to thank our Public Works Department and our fire chief for just being on the front end of this potential hurricane that was coming our way. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys really taking a proactive approach, Liz, and all your press releases, chief, your involvement, and then Public Works did an incredible job. Mark Limon, Mr. Campos, just being ready. People were greatly appreciative of us cleaning out our storm drains, and so I do want to thank you, Mr. Campos and Chief, for making that happen. Unfortunately, those rains did not come, or fortunately, right? Fortunately. Yeah, fortunately.
What?
I was kind of looking forward to it, but fortunately, they did not come, but kudos to our staff for making that happen. Plank Park Road was a huge success. Great job, Mayor. Ms. Nava and everybody who put that together was huge. So again, just really appreciate everything that's happened around our city. Little disappointed on that article that came out about our city saying that we don't have jobs when we have 7 vacancies on our police department, and we're trying to find folks to apply, and it's just
And 43 positions, is it 43 open positions at the ECRMC? And not only the fire department positions, but our engineering department positions, and
yeah.
and quite frankly, the thing that really I couldn't understand is our unemployment rate had actually dropped to one of the lowest that it's been, and so shame on that kind of reporting.
Well,
quite
shame
frankly.
on just them putting on just the front page of it. I just don't know how we can respond, or we punch our way out of that stuff, but that is not a representation of our city. Very, very disappointed in that article.
I agree.
I agree. And I just hired 7 or 8 people in the last week, so. And shame on people that
just hired
try to use that kind of stuff for political gain too.
Absolutely.
So I want to acknowledge the Plank Park. I think it was a great,
That was
great
great. Well
deal.
done.
It was great to
That was
see the
put-
kids
well
come
put
out,
together, yeah.
and whoever's idea it was to have the kids do their own little ribbon cutting.
That was very cute.
I thought that was
That was very
on
good.
point, very good. I attended the JPIA conference in Carlsbad with some of our staff. Terry was there, and who else was there? Terry and Dulce and Marcel. Actually, I thought it was a very well put together and had some really good talking points regarding homelessness and cannabis, the two items that seem to be on the forefront of every council right now and city budget. So I'll share that information with council at a later time, but I really thought it was well put together and well done. So those are the only two things I have, and I'll
Okay.
defer the rest.
I attended the El Centro Chamber Mixer at the bank. It was very, very well attended. It was a wonderful event. Unfortunately, I had to leave early due to being very, very ill. But it was a very fun event. It was great to see a lot of people there representing a new business. I know that we have several new businesses opening in El Centro, so I anticipate that we're going to be attending a lot of ribbon cuttings. I've spoken to several owners and welcome them to our city, and hopefully we'll be having more of those types of events as we increase the diversity of the businesses that we have in this city for our residents.
That's strange. If we have businesses opening, then we would have jobs.
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Weird.
Mr. Silva.
So I attended the Plank Park ribbon cutting, and I think I probably broke the record on the shortest distance travel for
And you still
a
drove.
city event.
And you drove.
And you were late.
You drove and
You
you were late.
drove a block away.
I also attended the celebration of our former mayor and council member Celia Sanders and the community champion recognition given by Molina Healthcare. That was very special. Also attended the awarding of the Oatly to Lupe Quintero by the Mexican consulate. I have to say that was a really
That was amazing.
amazing event. The consulate did an outstanding job celebrating the accomplishments of Lupe Quintero. If I can survive through this. I want to recognize Adriana for the work that she did in that event in Mexicali with the 100th anniversary of their Chamber of Commerce and the Fourth State Economic Development Conference. Appreciated she was there both days, made some good contacts. I think she was showing some pictures of I did not know I was going to share the stage with the governor. That was kind of special to do that. And I believe that we made some contacts. I made some commitments that I shared with the mayor before I made those commitments, but I committed for our homepage, our webpage, particularly when it comes to business opportunities and the business process for a business to open a new business in El Centro, that we would translate that in Spanish. I also talked about the city of El Centro starting a marketing campaign where we would market ourselves to the city of Mexicali. Given that 70% of our mall shoppers come from Mexicali, I think the idea of having the city of El Centro market itself there is a good idea. And now I can't think of the third thing that I committed because I'm sick. So I'll think about that later. Also attended the ribbon cutting for IB Fitness. It was glad to see another business open in El Centro.
Wait, is that more jobs?
No more jobs. The Dia de los Muertos celebrations are going to start off this weekend. Friday's showing of Coco, a movie, at Plank Park, and then
You're gonna drive over?
I'm going to drive over to the park. And then I think there's workshops every weekend after that. So hope that you guys are able to join us for that. Thanks.
Very good. So let's see. So on the 20th, I attended Rotary with the chief, police chief, and you did a phenomenal job explaining the workings of the department and everything. And gave his entire presentation using a card that was about this big. It was, I'm still in awe. That was excellent, excellent. And then that night, I had 4 different events. I went to the board quality meeting at the hospital, and then I did a drive-by on the chamber mixer, and then I went out to the library for treasure night, right? That looked so good. And then I went down to Club Luhu for the Lupe Quintero presentation. That was, and you're right, that was amazing. Plank Park, that was phenomenal. Let's see, what else? Oh, Imperial County Transportation Commission, a couple of things. You know, we are moving forward with getting a second lane dedicated at the Highway 86 checkpoint. That other newspaper that we won't name, I don't know if you saw the probe article, oh, wow, I have to wait in line long time, and then the response mentioned nothing about the fact that we're opening up a second lane, which will really help alleviate a lot of that.
Betsy and I will appreciate that.
Yes, you will appreciate that.
Didn't you say the same last year?
Yeah, it has been going on for about a year.
Yeah.
We
But
really would like that.
we're making progress. I also pointed out, and Abraham, if you could help track this, I also pointed out to Caltrans that we've been missing that light post on the Dogwood overpass since the end of May. A car or whatever ran it over, and we've had that orange safety cone there since the end of May. And so I asked if they could maybe do something about that. Let's see. Oh, American Red Cross had a ribbon cutting at their new location inside Furniture Palace. Ivy Fitness Club, they had that. And then, okay, last night was my Harvest Bowl Planning Committee meeting. Harvest Bowl is the 13th. If you are interested in
October
tickets, let me know. October 13th, which is, Saturday, a week from Saturday.
Where is it this year?
It is going to be at the it's either the Casa de Mañana building or Casa de Cotero, one of those two. ECRMC is having the grand opening of their Imperial Valley Mall location. You're actually going to be able to go and receive services from El Centro Regional Medical Center at the mall, and that's, I think, from 2 to 4. Something on Saturday. So that would be really great to have folks show up to. A couple of things. League of California Cities has asked if we would please support No on 6, which is the repeal of SB 1. We have a concurrence of the majority of the council. I'd like to give direction to staff to issue our support for the No on 6 campaign. They're also asking us to please support SB 3, which is the housing bond for veterans and affordable housing. So if we're good on those two, we'd ask Marcella to take care of that. Is everybody okay? And then the last thing I wanted to share with you, League of California Cities will be having a briefing on this latest thing that's come out from the FCC, which we talked about, which is small cell, which essentially preempts local control on our ability to regulate where these small cells are going to be. It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an absolute.
It takes us, we think that it'll be effective in a little over 30 days after it's in the Federal Register, and I will be talking with planning and with Mr. Campos about whether or not you want to look at the National League of Cities preemptive ordinance and adopt it.
Yeah, okay.
I
'Cause they
think,
did-
I think
yeah.
perhaps you do.
Yeah, so what I printed out and provided to council is the 5 takeaways for cities from the FCC small cell preemption order. So,
And I provided the same to staff.
perfect,
So we're good.
okay. So the strengthening of our policies and procedures because, yeah, it's not going to be good. So, I think that's the latest and greatest. We do have a special meeting coming up on the 9th at 6 o'clock. So we will be adjourning to closed session and then to a special meeting on the 9th. Is there anything else you need from us, Diane, in that regard?
And a motion and a second to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a couple of seconds, a motion by Cardenas, second by Jackson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you all very much. Great job. Keep up the awesome work.
The